Hello, dear beautiful, amazing world and you individuals out there. Today, the topic of discussion, or of monologue, I would dare say, is trying to live like someone is always observing you. And that is really the reality of it. The spiritual realm is always watching us. They're always observing what we are doing. And by sitting with that alone, by sitting with that feeling that someone is always watching over you, and I would kind of say testing us constantly to see what we are doing. Even though no one else can see that we are doing something that is less helpful for humanity, or something that is hurtful, or typical deeds of that nature. The nature of being more like a parasite and in an animalistic tendencies than actually thinking about our actions and the consequences of them. But by always being aware that someone is watching us, you learn to behave even alone. And when you behave alone, you don't act out of character when you go out with people either. You are the same character through and through. You have a consistency with your own personality. And having a feeling that someone is watching over us is more a positive and a loving feeling if we can behave morally and ethically inclined. If we behave from our heart and use our minds and our intellect in a rational way infused with heart, they will support us and guide us as far as this is necessary. This of course takes time, but it is that trust that someone is always observing. As I said, if we do have a lot of demons, a lot of things to hide, a lot of things to be uncomfortable with, this is not an easy thing to hear. But if you are morally and ethically inclined, if your soul is shining and being a human being, feeling everything from the pain to the joy to all in between, but staying in a dignified position when you experience these things, you don't go overboard with anything in the end. You always stay on that middle ground. And when you balance that in your middle ground, the spiritual realm is happy, because that is when you are most aligned with them and can commune with them. Nothing would be more enjoyable than to be in communion with the divine, with spirit, right? They are in our emotions, feelings, and will. And if we purify by meditating, focusing, strengthening our will, they will be more and more in the positive and in the uplifting spirit. And that is what we want, the uplifting, and not that hate against hate. If someone attacks us, we attack back. That will only perpetuate cycles. But instead you feel the brunt of the energy, full force, and then you transmute it by healing it yourself. And don't dirty your hands. Your hands don't need to be dirty. You know who you are. And by strengthening who you are, your own I, capital I, you will be able to handle most turbulence. Turbulence will always come. There are always people that disagrees with you no matter what you do. And that is just the reality of it. You can't, you just, it is not possible to reason because they don't want to. And that is okay. They have their own opinion, they have their own free will to operate with. So I respect that. that is it. So instead of focusing on everything and everyone else, you focusing on your own soul, stew in your own soul, find out who you are as a soul. And by doing so, you can operate as yourself with anyone else, and you can let them be themselves. And that is one of the most beautiful experiences one can have, to try to meet in the middle and have a soul dance, as I like to call it. You don't experience it too often because people are very shy. They need to pop out of their shell. But they do when you allow them, unless they fight against it. Some do too. And we do not, and we respect that too. Need that time to come out. But coming back to being observed, when you're being observed, you also become more dignified in how you are at home. Your posture, how you sit, how you move, everything becomes training, everything becomes practice. And over time you start to see the insight and the overview of what you are doing more detailed, so you can split up the day in different kinds of actions to do. Sorry, my English is not at its best today, but I am enjoying myself still. Back to the observing of the divine. I need to always, I sidetrack often, but it's not easy to do this when you sit in the moment. And to sit in the moment and speak like this is extremely nerve-wracking. I always have to observe what I say. And if spirit doesn't like what I say, when I observe it 2 or 3 times over, I delete it and I try again. I have a perfectionistic mind like that, but I still do this out of joy. And when I do this, funnily enough, that nervousness disappears, and it becomes more of a fleeting, free-flowing speaking. It's like they are helping me becoming more eloquent when I first get into it. But life is beautiful, and you are never alone. Even though it might feel like you are alone, even though it might feel like everyone might be against you. And that is the feeling you get when you are on the spiritual path. That you have to get used to that feeling, that the whole world might just be against you. But you always stand strong in yourself, and even though people go, you present your opinion in the way you behave, in the way the results shows themselves in what you do. You are the results, and that is what spiritual work is. You make yourself the result of your training, practice. Your body becomes your instrument. You don't need something outside anymore. You use your whole body as the instrument of the divine. With movements, with song, emotions, with the spirit and soul, with the intellect. And all of them becomes aligned with spirit, so it actually becomes something beautiful. They are aligned with each other, in a sense. And when it is aligned with each other, you just feel like you can flow for hours. You can speak and have fun and enjoy the moment, no matter what happens. And that is also what you strengthen when you meditate, when you sit still and want your body also to sit completely still and relax completely. And you make your body do so. Your body listens to you. You master your body and your breath and your presence. No matter where you are, you don't drift. You are always here. We drift in sleep, in dreams. That is where we are supposed to drift. But in awake life, we should be here in our body, here in our 5 senses and in our spirit and soul. That is waking life, and it is beautiful. I just had to see what came out today when I was speaking about when spirit observes you, and they do. And it is more beautiful and scary, because they always are lenient with us. They know where we are on our path. They know what we are capable of, and they know what we are not capable of. As long as we want to make amends when we do something silly. This is what I had to say to everyone today. May the divine and the spirit guide you on your path to your growth, evolution, and awakening. Love you all, and thank you so much for watching me. Goodbye.